Yeah, there is consumption. It is importation of services. There is a supply, and you pay for that supply, whereby it is a supply, and you are liable to pay GST in the form of IGST. Okay, I have told you IGST is applicable in the case of interstate movement and also in the case of importation of services. In this case, it is an importation of services. Therefore, IGST is applicable. Okay, now let us go to the third part of supply. Now, there are two more exemptions from the primary principles of sale, consideration, and the course of business. Now, the law says it can be supply. You can do it. You can do it in the course of business, but need not be consideration. You may do without consideration also. Assuming the Schedule 1 of the law, GST law, says that if you do business with related parties, so the Schedule 1 is more related to related parties. If the transactions are with related parties and you don't pay money to them, but you supply some services, you do some services, okay, but that is happening in the course of business, then it is a supply. I will not leave you. You have to pay GST on that. You cannot take a bypass and say that there is no consideration, thereby it is not coming under GST, thereby I will not pay GST. The government will not allow you like that, because you will misuse the law through related party transactions. That is why Schedule 1 came into picture and made it clear, if you make a transaction with related parties, in spite of nil consideration, you have to determine the price for that and pay GST. Okay, so this is schedule 1. Now,
No
part
problem.
C is, now let us go to part D. We have seen the supplies in various parts. Part D is very simple. It is neither supply nor, sorry. Part D says about Schedule 2. Schedule 2, there are certain transactions listed in Schedule 2 which are to be treated as supply of goods and supply of services. So they say that, like they have listed certain list of transactions. You cannot say that this is not supply. They have very specifically mentioned works contract is a supply of services. Renting of immovable property, you are renting your property, you have 2-3 properties in your hand, and you are renting it. Okay, that means you are doing business. So renting of immovable property is supply of services. You are constructing the building and selling it to someone else, it's a supply of services. So the Schedule 2 of the GST law specifically lists out certain transactions. In spite of that, whether it is consideration, related party, or whatever it is in the course of business, it says any transactions listed in Schedule 2, you do that, it will be considered as a supply of goods or supply of services. Now, Schedule 3, that is part E, the last component is, which says that it is neither supply of goods nor supply of services. You cannot call it as a supply of goods, supply of services. For example, you as an employee, you are rendering service to your employer. It is also service. Then why you are not bringing under GST? It can be questioned. Services, the definition of services says anything other than mobile property. Then why can't you bring employer services to employee services to employer as under GST? So the Schedule 3 specifically lists certain activities. Services given by employee to employer is not a service, neither service nor supply of goods. Similarly, services by any court, tribunal, any government official, any judicial powers to the public, those services are not will not come under supply. It is neither supply of goods nor supply of services. Those are exempted. So you are very clear what is supply means and what are the fundamentals of supply, and there are nuances in the supply, variations in the supply. One can be without consideration, one can be not in the course of business, one can be certain things only listed in the Schedule 2, Schedule 3, Schedule 1 and Schedule 2. So these are things which everyone need to understand. If there is no supply, no GST. Forget. When someone is not able to convince it as a supply, forget. GST is not applicable upfront. This is fundas. Now, coming to the supply, natures of supply. See, there are two natures of supply. One is composite supply, another one is mixed supply. What is composite supply? I just read this and then I will explain you that. See, the composite supply means a supply made by a taxable person to a recipient consisting of two or more taxable supplies. See, I tell you, forget the definition, I'll tell you in very simple words. If someone sells you, if someone sells to you two or more taxable supplies, two or more taxable goods or services, and which are naturally bundled, that means the seller cannot sell one alone separately. If he wants to sell one, he has to sell the another one also. So two are naturally bundled. If a seller sells two products, two taxable goods, which are naturally bundled in the ordinary course of business, then that is a composite supply. I give you an example, air conditioner. Mr. Alec supplies air conditioner, okay? And also he provides services for installation. He says, when you supply air conditioner, sir, I'm supplying air conditioner to you. Is the product, that is the product, goods. That is the goods, movable goods. Not only supplying goods, sir, I will also provide you installation, but for that I will charge. So then he is now saying that he's providing services. So he is supplying goods, air conditioner. He is also supplying services, installation of air conditioner. Now, two taxable goods combined together. It's naturally bundled because this installation of services is for the purpose of installation of AC. It's otherwise the installation of services is of no use, no relevant. When you say it's installation, it is the installation for air conditioner. So it is naturally bundled to taxable services. Now this supplier will ask, now for the air conditioner, there is one GST rate. For installation of air conditioner, that is services, there is another GST rate. Example, if I say air conditioner comes under the bracket of say 12%, assuming just an example, 12%, okay, and services, installation of service charges comes under the bracket of 18% GST. So GST on AC is 12%. GST on installation of services, installation charges, that is services, is 18%. Now the law says this is this nature of supply is a composite supply. That means two are combined, two taxable supplies are combined together and sold to the buyer, to the consumer. Now, when I raise an invoice, I will raise example. This both put together comes to 1 lakh rupees. The AC plus the installation service charges comes to 1 lakh rupees. Now, the AC GST rate is 12%, whereas installation service charges is 18% GST. The law says the two supplies, the principal supply is the air conditioner. You have to apply the GST rate which is applicable to the principal supply. So whatever the GST rate that is applicable to the principal supply, that is air conditioner, you have to apply that rate. So on the 1 lakh invoice value, this Mr. Alec will charge 12% GST. Thereby, the total invoice value will be 1 lakh rupees plus 12,000 GST is 1,12,000 rupees. So this is called a composite supply. The principles of composite supply is very simple. There must be two or more taxable supplies. AC installation services, two taxable supplies, example, and they are naturally bundled because one is dependent on the another. One cannot stand on its own. It's a naturally bundled, and this supply is made in the course of ordinary business. In the ordinary course of business. So supply of air conditioner is my business. So correct. It is in the ordinary course of business. And the principal supply is air conditioner. There must be a principal supply in this composite. It is air conditioner. If these three principles are there, then it is composite supply. Any interruption? Are you able to listen me, Mr. Raghu? Okay. I
Yes,
believe.
Bala sir, we are able to listen.
Okay. Okay. I believe everyone is listening to me. Okay. Now move on to the next supply.
Yes, Bala.
I told that two natures of supply. There are two types of supplies. It's not a type. It's a nature of supply. One is composite supply we saw. Next is mixed supply. What is mixed supply? Mixed supply is, see, in the composite supply we saw two or more taxable supplies naturally bundled. Okay. Whereas in mixed supply, it is two or more individual supplies. Example, I will tell you with examples. Okay. I have book with me. Okay. I have spec. You can see the book with me, the specs with me. Okay. And I also have my, for example, laptop or something else. One more product, say, assuming this is watch. Okay. I have three components. One is book has its own GST rate, specs has its own GST rate, and this is called watch. Assuming it is watch has its own GST rate. Now three put together, three individual components. It can be sold individually. I can sell this watch separately. I can sell this specs separately. I can sell this book separately. Three individual taxable supplies, but all the three joining together, putting together in one box, and I am selling as a gift box to someone else, and saying that the price of this gift box, it's a mixed, all three components mixed, and giving it to someone else as a mixed supply, and the cost of this price is 2 lakh rupees. Now the question comes, what is the GST rate on this? Now I tell you, the specs GST rate is 5%, the watch GST rate is 18%, and the book GST rate is, say, 12%. So I repeat it, this is 5%, this is 12%, this is 18%. Watch is 18%. Now the law says, I didn't ask you to mix and sell it to you. So I didn't ask you to mix everything. You can sell separately. Why do you want to mix and sell it? If you mix and sell it, it is your headache. You have to follow the law. The law says the supplies which has the highest tax rate, that component has to be considered for the purpose of levying GST for this supply. Example, this is 5% specs, 12% book, and 18% watch. For this 2 lakh rupees, the person who is selling, Mr. Ruben is selling, I have given the example, Mr. Ruben is selling this goods. So 2 lakh rupees into 18% GST, it is 36,000. 2 lakh 36,000 will be the invoice value. So the law says when you make a mixed supply, then you have to collect GST on the article which has the highest GST rate. So in this, out of three products, the highest GST rate applicable is 18%, that is on this watch. So 18% is to be collected on this mixed supply. I believe you understand what is mixed supply. So the example is there. The principle is there must be two or more individual supplies. Okay, and the rate, GST rate shall be the highest rate of the goods, which is included in the mixed supply. So the difference between the composite supply and mixed supply, composite is naturally bundled. You cannot separate. Okay, one depends on the another. Whereas mixed is each individual supplies, individual taxable supplies are independent. It is the seller who mingles it and sells it. Thereby, the highest rate is applicable. Okay, I believe you understood a mixed supply. If anyone asks,
We have some question here.
If anyone has anyone has questions here, I can clarify that.
Yeah, Balaji, I have a question.
Okay.
Yeah. See, as you are saying, this mixed supply, no, is there any chance that we will be losing more money in that?
See, obviously, when you make a mixed supply, that means you are supplying more than two goods combined together. That means you are mingling different GST rate category goods combining together and selling it to a person, to a buyer. So while selling that, the law says you have to charge only the highest GST rate applicable among all the goods. So you are charging to the consumer who is buying the goods has to pay more money on that. Example, if you buy this book, you pay only 5%, but he is also paying 18% for the book value. So in other words, he is paying more tax on that. So this is normally it's a additional cost burden to the consumer. So this practice is mainly because of it comes when you give gift to someone else. If you go to the airport or if you go to high people, like when someone meets Narendra Modi, they have a gift box which contains gold ornaments, diamond, wristwatch, specs, some very precious pen. So each will have different GST rate, but the seller will charge the highest rate applicable on the goods. Assuming if something is inside the box which carries 28%, then the entire transaction value will be charged 28%. That means even for 5% goods, 5% GST rate goods, on that also you have to pay 28%. So it is only a additional cost. It's a consumer's more what you say, paying more money for a lesser cost, lesser
Yeah,
worth.
no,
Buying
Balaji,
product which is
by doing so, is the seller getting any additional benefit by doing that, or it is only the
seller,
government earns
what
money?
will a seller see? What will happen? It's a marketing scenario. You cannot sell. See, assuming someone will, out of 3 products, someone will be interested in one product. He may not be so keen on the books. He may not so keen on the specs. But this one product trigger him. He may prefer. Okay, I like this product, and okay, book is okay. If time permits, I will read or I will give it to someone else. So it's an incentive to the seller along with this product selling the other product. It's like it's more or less it's a marketing technique. Selling, he wants to sell the very costlier product along with the lower cost product. But while doing so, the law says you are using your marketing techniques to sell the product. You are getting benefit out of that. Pay the tax to me on the higher rate. Then don't otherwise don't follow the mixed supply. Law is not forcing you to follow the mixed supply. Law says this is the nature of supply. If you follow this nature, you have to follow the law. Pay highest tax rate, highest GST rate. That is what all about.
Good.
You can see in many companies they will say if you buy this you will get so many items along with this. Okay, so all those things are all but when you invoice, you will invoice the GST on the product in which carries the highest rate. These are all very normal in the FMCG, fast moving goods. Those sectors, they used to give a bundle like biscuits and some other goods like nuts, spices, nuts, and some other articles. Even if in this example, Mr. Ruben supplies festival gift box, okay? I read this example for everyone's benefit, okay? It says the gift box containing crackers, dress materials, dry fruits, silver ornaments, gold ornaments, and leather items for a single price of rupees 2 lakhs. So this box contains crackers, one, dress materials is there, dry fruits there, silver ornaments there, and gold ornaments also there, some small ring, leather items are there. Now you sell it for 2 lakh rupees. The government want to know why do you want to sell all put together? Because you feel no one will come and buy your dress material, or no one will come and buy your crackers. You want to sell together. Let someone may be interested in some article. So it's a market technique. You're selling it to clubbing everything, selling it to someone else with a higher price. Pay tax, GST on the highest rate of all the 3. Assuming if the crackers GST rate is the highest GST tax rate, then apply that rate on 2 lakh rupees. Okay, the principle is 2 or more individual supplies, correct? And the GST rate shall be the highest GST rate shall be the highest rate of the goods which is included in the mixed supply. I believe I have explained this mixed supply. I hope.
Yes, Balaji.
Can I move on to the next?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Now levies. So we saw the supplies. Please prepare your mind right from the birth of the GST, how we are traveling. You have to apply your mind, prepare your mind, allow your mind to travel in the GST. These are all fundas of GST. We are not getting into the intricacies of GST. We are only talking about fundas of GSTs, fundamentals. Now, when you talk about levies, there are two types of levies. One is normal levy, another one is composition levy. Okay. Levy means what? It's a tax. Levy means tax. Now, what is normal levy? Very simple. The tax rates are categorized into three types. One is called merit rate. That means it is very lower rate. It is beneficial to all the sectors of the all the sectors of industries, consumers, people, everyone, because it's a very lowest rate, merit rate. It is very simple and reasonable rate. Standard rate is market rate, market driven rate. That means in the market, for this product, you need to pay this rate. Okay. And the demerit rate is it's discouraging rate. 28% is a demerit rate. For certain items, they say if you buy, you have to pay higher cost. That is called demerit rate. So this is normal levy. That is the slabs. And what is composition levy? See, composition levy. If a person is a registered GST dealer or supplier or service provider, and whose turnover is less than rupees 1 crore, then he can opt himself. Sir, I don't want to follow this normal levy of merit rate, demerit rate. I don't want to pay 12%, 5%, 10%, 18%, whatever it is. Sir, I will be with less than 1 crore. I will not cross my turnover in any financial year more than 1 crore. I am opting. I am a manufacturer. I will pay 1%, sir. Flat 1% I will pay. Whatever buying, I'll pay 1%. And register me as a composition dealer. So register me under composition levy. If I am supplier of goods, foods, or any articles, 5%. But there is, in this composition levy, there are merits and certain demerits. One is merit. If you talk about, you don't need to say month on month you have to disclose, file return. No requirement is there. Only once in a quarter, if you file return, that is adequate. And the registration process is very simple. And no need to raise every time whenever you supply, you don't need to raise a tax invoice. You can really say supply, bill of supply, I supply to him, so and so. Fine. And the disadvantage is when you pay tax, when you buy, see, when you buy a good, you will buy along with you will pay to the supplier for the goods, and also you pay tax on the goods also. So that tax is an input tax credit to you. That is an input tax to you. For example, you buy for example, you buy a goods worth 1 lakh rupees with tax 10%, 1,10,000 rupees. 10,000 is the tax. That is called your input tax. Your input tax paid on your input. Input is your goods what you have bought. Okay, that input tax you cannot take credit. That means you cannot utilize. It is a cost to you. So that is a disadvantage. Now, there are certain things I want. 1 minute. See the structure of GST. I just want to take it. There are certain points you need to remember always. GST is levied on supply of goods and services across India. Everyone is clear. It is levied on supply of goods and services. Fine. This 1 point, please remember it in mind. It is on supply of goods and supply of services. Fine. It is a single tax on the supply of goods. Why it is called one nation, one tax? The simple is GST is only one tax. But the tax portion is shared among the state center. But GST per se is only one tax. For the whole nation, GST is one tax. That is what is a single tax, right from the manufacturer to the consumer. Under the GST, credit of taxes paid at various stages is available as set off from the output tax. See, in this GST, the beauty of the GST is you can have a seamless credit, seamless input tax credit. Example, I supply goods to someone else, okay? And that guy buys goods from me. He pays tax for that. In turn, he supply the same goods to someone else, okay? And he collect tax. So when I collect tax, I will pay to the government, okay? And that guy who has paid that tax to me, while he pays to the government, he will adjust that. I'll give you a very simple example. 100 rupees is the product price and 10% is the tax. 110 rupees. I supply the goods for 110 rupees. 10 rupees is the input tax. I will pay it to the government. That 110 rupees is again sold. It's sold by B to C. Okay. He will sell for 120 rupees. The 110 rupees product is being sold for 120 rupees. Now, he will collect 20 rupees as tax. Now what he will do, he has to pay 20 rupees to the government. But on the same product, he has already paid 10 rupees to me as tax because he bought goods from me by paying 10 rupees. So the 20 rupees, what he will do, 10 rupees he will adjust as input tax. Sir, I have already paid, out of 20 rupees, I have already paid 10 rupees to this gentleman while buying this product. Then the balance 20 rupees he will pay to the government. So there's a seamless input tax credit can be taken in the GST. There will not be any cascading effect. Now, as I said, GST is a destination-based consumption, is a consumption-based tax. Benefit of tax will accrue to the consuming state. Centers, you can see the screen, centers and states will impose tax on goods and services simultaneously. Now, after introduction of GST, now center can impose tax on sale of goods. Earlier, on the sale of goods, it is only state was having the power because all sales tax was under the jurisdiction of the state. Tamil Nadu Sales Tax Act, Andhra Pradesh AP Andhra Pradesh Sales Tax Act, Karnataka Sales Tax Act. So sales tax was earlier only under the jurisdiction of the respective state government. Now, after introduction of GST, the center can also impose tax on sale of goods. That is the beauty. So under the GST, now center can also play a role, state can also play a role. That is union, as you said, unity in diversity. So two powers are combining together, and that is why it is one tax, one nation. Okay. And if you say the states and center can impose tax on sale of goods within the state, and states impose tax on services. Now state can also impose tax on services. Earlier, before GST, service tax was there. Service tax was the central tax. It is not state tax. So service tax, the power of levying and collecting the tax under the service tax regime was with the central government. Now, after the introduction of GST, now if I do supply of services in the state, now state can also impose tax on these services. Okay, video passed. Download 1 minute. 1 minute. So chat IGB. 1 minute. This Instagram has passed. I have to share live video ended. What I have to do? Download video. Okay, download video.
No. You continue with live. That's it. You continue with that.
Okay, fine.
It will get.
Okay, fine. So now states can also impose tax on services. Now it's very simple. Under GST, supply of services, supply of goods. State has power, center has power. So we saw that what is the intra-state supply of goods and services. CGST is payable to, under intra-state supply of goods and services, CGST is payable to the central government. SGST or UTGST is payable to the state or the union territory. Interstate supply of goods, IGST is payable to the central government. Okay, fine. Next is central will levy and administer CGST and IGST, while respective states or union territories will levy and administer SGST and UTGST. So the powers are shared among the center and the states. Center will levy and administer CGST tax and IGST tax, and center will levy and administer SGST and UTGST. So import will be treated as interstate supply. As I said, import of transaction will fall under the bucket or category of interstate supply, and IGST will be chargeable along with the basic customs duty. Okay. However, in GST export is treated as zero rated supplies, and no IGST is payable on exports. Currently, the rates of GST are under various categories: 0.5%, 3%. These are slabs: 0.5%, 3%, 5% slab, 12%, 18%, and 28%. So you can remember the mixed supply. When you supply, say six slab or 6 slab products, and when you sell it, the highest slab GST rate is applicable in the case of mixed supply. Okay, so that you can remember very well. And in the case of composite supply, the principal supply GST rate is applicable. Okay, and GST will be calculated on value of supply of goods and services, which is the transaction value. So you need to know what is the transaction value in order to arrive or levy GST. Under GST, every suppliers who have made taxable supply shall require to get himself registered under GST law. Okay, now then again, the utilization of GST tax credit, again you can, if you have a credit of IGST, the credit of IGST can be utilized for payment of IGST, and if there is anything left over after utilizing the IGST, you can utilize for CGST and SGST. So the utilization of GST can be first utilized for payment of CGST, and the balance can be utilized towards payment of IGST. These are input tax credit. Okay, fine. How many minutes more, Mr. Okay, I think another. How many minutes more?
We are having 5 minutes per second cutoff.
Now, remaining? Now, what is the left? How many minutes more? 5 minutes more?
5 minutes. 5 minutes more.
Okay, I will close it off by way of that. Okay, so these are the structure. We have a platform for that. There is a GST network, is the goods and services network, and the role of GST is facilitating the registration, forwarding the returns to central state, computation, all those things are there. Okay, so these are fundamentals. And the registration, when it comes to registration, any person whose turnover is more than 20 lakhs is liable to be registered in a GST Act. And with respect to special category states whose turnover is less than 10 lakhs need to get registered in a GST Act. And there are certain categories of peoples whose registrations are compulsory. They are assuming if you make interstate taxable supply, irrespective of your threshold turnover, you need to get registered under GST. If you are a casual taxable person, you need to register. If you are an e-commerce operator, and if you are directing GST TDS, and if you are an input service distributor, all these categories of people need compulsory registration. Who is not liable to registration is one who is exempted, or one who is supply of goods or services which is not taxable or which are exempted. Okay, input tax credit is very simple. As we saw, you can see the picture. Product A, product B, product C. These are inputs. Product A is 100 rupees tax you are paid. Product B tax you are paid 120, and product C tax you are paid 80 rupees. Put together you have paid input tax 300. When you sell all the 3 products together and you call it as an output, and when you pay it, your output liability comes to 450. Now when your tax output liability is 450, then you will adjust the 300 rupees what you have paid as an input tax, and the balance 150 will be paid to the government. This is what the input tax credit. This picture will make you understand the concept very clear. And then eligibility criteria is who can avail the input tax credit. Only there must be a supply of goods or services, and it must be made in the ordinary course of business, and such input must be credited in the electronic credit ledger, and the registered dealer or person must not have opted for composition levy. So only those people are eligible to avail input tax credit, and there are certain conditions. See, as if you are buying certain goods and you have to, if you have to avail the input tax credit, you should have paid the invoice to the supplier within a period of 180 days. If you don't pay within a period of 180 days, then your input credit will be reversed. Even if you have taken if you have availed the input tax credit, it will be reversed. So the invoice payment must have paid within a period of 180 days, and the details of your input tax must have been furnished in the return. Okay, and the goods must have been supplied or services must have been received. All these certain conditions need to be complied with. And there are certain returns, I'm just running through, there are certain returns, monthly, quarterly returns need to be filed. It's all periodical. And the legislative framework is, this is Central
There is a
CGST Act.
question. There is a
Okay.
question which you
So
can
I have closed, completed my presentation. The written is a normal routine thing. So I can take the question here. Last
There is
1
a
minute.
question from Uma Shankar. Sir, you can unmute and ask him.
Can we, before that, there is only 1 minute. Can we re-log in?
Sir, what is reverse charging, sir, in GST?
Reverse charge mechanism is, see, assuming you are, as I said, importation of services. Okay, you are importing a services. As I showed an example in the earlier slide. When you import a services, the other person is not a registered dealer, is not a registered person. Okay, and he is some other person. So the law says when you avail a services and you pay, and that service you pay consideration for it, you have to pay